I think there was a comment that was removed by Auto Moderator that I approved.
Oh, well, nice. You are live, my friend. So, let's see.
It's a lie. I can see something.
It should be coming up, and you should see your LDAP TV and everything.
I do.
Okay. I'm gonna go finish bedtime ritual, but I will check back and make sure I'm here in time at the end of the 50 minutes to shut her down. But Heroes of the Storm culture and organized play from the joyful mod LDAP. Rock on.
Thanks for that great intro. Yeah, so I figured I would contribute to the Developer Day by talking about a subject that I'm, kind of intimate about, because I'm a moderator for the Heroes of the Storm subreddit. I'm also a moderator for the StarCraft subreddit. Um, I became a moderator for the Heroes of the Storm subreddit back, I think, in 2017. And then about 2 years later, I became a mod for StarCraft. My first passion was StarCraft. Not really good at the game, but definitely enjoyed the esports scene. And obviously, when Heroes of the Storm was announced, I was rather jazzed because it seemed like it would be a little bit more approachable for me. Uh, I can play StarCraft, but I play versus the AI or versus the scenarios and such. So getting into Heroes of the Storm, I kind of took a different approach that I was going to learn how to play a PvP game. So anyway, this presentation is Heroes of the Storm, or Heroes of the Storm. I'd like to review or highlight the culture, what I think is the culture, and then talk about organized play and how that can contribute to the culture. Obviously, I have a few dedications before I start. The first one is to the community, the Heroes of the Storm community, for their inspiration and love of the game. I wasn't a moderator when the subreddit was formed, but I definitely had a love for the game and wanted to be contributing to it as much as I could. Obviously, I have a dedication to the moderators of the Heroes of the Storm community, as well as the StarCraft community, for teaching me to ask myself this question: Are you sure? Are you sure you're going to delete that post? Are you sure you're going to delete that comment? It really does. Your first reaction sometimes is when you see something you don't like is to hit the delete button. And we have a lot of rules, and we have a bit of an approach to how we manage the subreddit. And if it wasn't for the subreddit moderators teaching me, I would have probably it's not been a mod for very long. So, obviously, I have to make a dedication to my wife for her support. And then as I work through what she describes as a gaming addiction, but obviously I want to also shout out to my mom. My mom is a very interesting person in my life. I mean, I love her to death. And when I was 10 years old, I came in one day. I was kind of frustrated at school, and I told my mom I wanted to play chess. And so my mom, she said, okay, and she set up a chessboard, and we started playing chess after school, and she beat me every game after school. But then I got to play in a chess tournament at school, and I won the tournament. So from her, I learned what passion and dedication really is. To my friend Eric, who I kind of discovered through Years in the Storm, he's helped me to have the courage to tell my story, and in some cases, learn what failure really means, or what really is. Kyle Ferguson. A couple weeks ago, I was listening to the Into the Nexus podcast. I was also reading a book called Everything is Fluked, and Kyle was just there was just this undertone in the community about the Christmas event going really long, and I wrote in the book. What I read was that true heroes are the ones that bring hope to hopeless situations, and I realized that basically what Kyle was doing when this podcast was giving us hope that everything's going to be fine. Devs are coming with a really great patch, and all we have to do is be patient. To Phoenix Rising Amethyst, that's my team, my NGS team. I want to thank them for the opportunity to build both a clubhouse and a sanctuary this past season, so we can enjoy the game better. to my kids and my grandson for the inspiration to be idealistic, but also to do better. Last but not least, my buddy Puck. Puck has been with me as I've navigated through Heroes of the Storm as a moderator, but also as a NGS player as well. So the first thing I wanted to do is introduce you to Benjamin Xander. Benjamin Xander is a conductor for the Boston Philharmonic. He's also a teacher. He teaches youth orchestra. And I saw this presentation several years ago, and I think it kind of summarizes what some people feel the state of the Heroes of the Storm is. For me, as a young musician, I didn't really have I had an environment to learn how to play music, but I never, while I enjoyed playing music, it kind of like the instructor I had wasn't, really accommodating, and it caused me to kind of walk away from music and try other things. But anyway, I'll play the first clip.
Probably a lot of you know the story of the two salesmen who went down to Africa in the 1900s. They were sent down to find if there was any opportunity for selling shoes. And they wrote telegrams back to Manchester. And one of them wrote, "Situation hopeless, stop, they don't wear shoes." And the other one wrote, "Glorious opportunity, they don't have any shoes yet." Now, there's a similar situation in the classical music world, because there are some people who think that classical music is dying, and there are some of us who think you ain't seen nothing yet.
So a lot of people think that Heroes of the Storm is dying. It's a dead game. It becomes a popular meme on the subreddit in comments. But for some of us, we don't think you've seen the last of it yet. And Xander goes on to talk about, in his presentation, children who learn how to play music. They go through stages of development. And these stages of development, if they're not encouraged, they will stop before they reach their plateau or their ability to fully enjoy or play music what he calls one buttock, where the music takes on a transcends into something where it actually invokes emotion, an emotional response. So when he kind of crescendos and proves that case, he leads off with this.
So I made up my mind at that moment that classical music is for everybody. Everybody. Now, how would you walk? Because my profession, the music profession, doesn't see it that way. They say 3% of the population likes classical music. If only we could move it to 4%, our problems would be over. I say, how would you walk? How would you talk? How would you be if you thought 3% of the population likes classical music? If only we could move it to 4%. How would you walk? How would you talk? How would you be if you thought everybody loves classical music? They just haven't found out about it yet.
And I think that's the premise of this presentation is, how can we get people excited about playing Heroes of the Storm? Even though it has a bit of a learning curve, even though that the game is quote unquote not being developed as much anymore, what can we do as a community to change that? But more importantly, be enthusiastic about it, be authentic about it, and to just transcend this malaise or this hopelessness that the game is dead, because it's not. And the next part of my presentation, hopefully I will inspire that a little bit.
Probably a lot of you know.
So Heroes of the Storm has two interfaces. They have the old interface, the classic interface, and they have the newer interface. I tend to prefer the newer interface as a moderator because it gives me the ability to use a multitude of tools for managing the subreddit. But I find everyone I kind of interact with, they really enjoy the older interface. So you choose your poison there. I'm going to go with the new one. I think it also aligns really well with the mobile client and other things. But we do support both on this subreddit. We support both the new and the old interface. So one of the things about the subreddit community is that it's about 290K users right now. It's actually about 291. It was cresting to 291,000 users. From that, we average about 1.1 gig users online on average, anywhere from that throughout the day. One of the things we like to do when we have a theme, like when a new hero gets released, we like to add a little flair to the counts. So we have Scourges of Eldwin and Tossing Loot Orders. So we come up with a theme like that for each one of the hero releases. We also keep an esports calendar, so we like to promote both the CCL, Master League, and other events. So Laurent is really good about making sure this stays up to date, and we get to publish this on the sidebar, both whether you're using new Reddit or old Reddit. We also have this series of rules. These are the rules that we use to kind of govern, moderators use it, how to govern posts and comments that get reported. Really, it's for the community, and the community is the one that actually does most of the moderation by reviewing and reporting comments and posts that don't align with these standards. The number one we usually find ourselves dealing with is being civil. We take a pretty dim view of people that are being just taunting and being mean to other people. We also typically do remove some low quality content, specifically if it doesn't align with our standards for image uploads and such. Another thing that's a feature of our subreddit is the header, and with that header, we have a number of resources that people can use, but sometimes they're not aware of it because of it's kind of hidden. The weekly threads, we keep a listing of those. When I became a moderator for a while, I would do a weekly hero discussion, so I would link them there. We also used to have a weekly looking for group. We do have a weekly rage thread, and we had a teaching and helping thread and a streaming promotions thread. Laurent just posted something earlier today that he's going to look to enable those weekly posts again. These are called auto-moderated posts, and they went away when Reddit recently changed the way the auto-moderator worked. So we just really haven't, they didn't get a ton of traction, so we really didn't feel the need to enable them, but I think in the next week or so, we're going to be enabling them again. In addition to that, we also maintain a list of resources, including the subnet rules for people who on the classic Reddit that they don't have a sidebar for rules, so we use the wiki to communicate those to them. But we have 3 guides, one that's for new players, one for returning players, and one for advanced players. Shout out to Elite Sparkle for his contributions here. He went ahead and reorganized all this information about a year ago. And it was, it's a great resource to point people to that have questions about the game. We also have a list of the shows and podcasts that are in the community at the time. We also maintain a looking for group page. I'll talk about that later, but if you have a Discord or a community, you can contact the moderators and we will list that here. And it should be referenced in the looking for group weekly post as well. We also have a list of community links that are pretty up to date. And we also have a FAQ that also was recently updated. And we also have a link to our Blizzard tracker. So what does it take to be a moderator? Well, really, it's a volunteer organization. You got to volunteer. There's no, we're not members, we're not employees of Blizzard, as some people have accused us of. So we typically just volunteer to, moderate the subreddit. It takes initiative, obviously. There's no head mod. I might be the more frequently visible mod, but there really is no head mod. So we all take initiative in doing specific things. It requires that the moderator be somewhat dedicated. We have to look at the mod queue a couple times a day. So it does require some attention. And we tend to just, play off of each other. We don't really, I tend to look at it in the morning when I wake up, but some people look look at throughout the day. So playing the game is optional. Some of the moderators, they played the game, but they don't actually play the game that much anymore. So it's not a requirement to play Heroes of the Storm. But it does help if you have a little bit of a passion for it. Chatting is optional. Yeah, so like we do kind of coordinate our communications within our own Discord community, and we don't really chat very often. It's not a lot to be said right now. I mean, when we have something to work on, we will, we might add each other and, get some feedback. But for the most part, we operate pretty independently. And we're very supportive of one another too. That's when one person needs something, the other mods will jump in right away usually. So I've noticed that we can be, incredibly supportive of one another, especially if we're going through something. So there's the kind of the older guard of moderators, Starsky and Starsky. Sorry. She's been a moderator for a long time. I've had some great conversations with her. If I had a question about something legal, I'm sure I could rely on her to, help me out there. Scarlet Bliss, she kind of owns our Discord for the Heroes of the Storm and manages that. If anyone's seen XRN1, please let us know. We haven't heard from him in a while, but when I became a mod first, he was like the example of like he showed me how to be a mod. He was pretty on top of things, and so I think when I became a mod, he was able to relax a bit. So then there's Cast Iron J. He's more of a behind-the-scenes kind of person. He makes sure that our development environments are kept up to date and weighs in on issues and things pretty readily if we need him to. So, then, of course, there was me. I joined about 3 years ago, obviously. And Laurent, he and I joined about the same time. It was like almost like a day or two. And if you're familiar with the subreddit, Laurent is a big esports person. He would post the esport. He had like a whole automation tool for posting HGC matches, and as they happened, he would make sure he would put the results in, and they would make a post. And he also maintained a build site, and he maintains the weekly esports thread. Sammy, he came from the StarCraft subreddit, so when he came, I was like, ooh. And so he and I kind of share similar interests in StarCraft and such, and we collaborate. He's a bit active on the forums as well. He manages reports and such. And then we got 2 newer mods in the past year. We managed to get Royalite. She is a notable Heroes of the Storm personality, very active on Twitter and has a podcast. And then Nerf Chen, we grabbed him from the WoW Classic subreddit. And Nerf Chen does play the game, so does Royalite. So yeah. So recently we made a couple additions to the subreddit. Back in August of 2020, we allowed image posts. There was a period of time where image posts had to be a self-post. You couldn't just upload a photograph on your mobile phone or create a meme and put it up. There was a lot of debate about this within the group because image posts can get uploaded much quicker than, say, content-based posts like text-based posts and such. So there was a lot of debate as to should we allow this, shouldn't we allow this, and it just felt right that we would test the waters. We'd create a meme day or a meme week and let people post memes and such. But it just felt right back in August to allow image posts to be posted full time. We do put some restrictions on memes. We want memes to be based on Heroes of the Storm and not just stuff from a meme generator. So we ask people not to post low quality content. Another adjustment we had to make was to our flooding rule. Specifically within that, we had to, for those people who were contributing a lot of artwork, we asked that they limit their artwork contributions to once every 3 days. So, but yeah, I think the community responded really favorably to image posts and artwork. A more recent change to the subreddit, we also started to summarize blue comments within a post. We got a bot that would go through and, as comments are made, it would update the comment and add, the developer's comment as a top level post. So we think that helps make some of our threads a little bit easier to navigate if people are looking for the developer comments. Unfortunately, there is limits to this, though. We haven't done an AMA yet, and I don't know if we're ever going to see an AMA. So probably with an AMA, we might exceed the amount of comments that can be reported as a top-level post. If that's the case, the developer of this bot said he would work with us and maybe adjust it to allow for such a use. So once we allowed image post in August of 2020, we also, the CCL was announced as well. And one of the things we've noticed over the past, since August, has been that we've seen explosive growth. Somewhere in the neighborhood of about 90,000 more subscribers to the subreddit, which, it stayed pretty steady after HTC cancellation. It's slight growth, but once we had the CCL and allowed image posts, we've seen just a market spike. And this is several months after COVID, so maybe COVID has something to do with it as well. But what we notice is a lot more subscribers, but the traffic itself has stayed rather consistent. Meaning that we don't get a ton more posts or a ton more comments. But we're just seeing more and more people subscribing to the subreddit. Maybe they're just lurking for a moment. And in comparison with other classic Blizzard titles, it was at one point that we were kind of neck and neck with StarCraft, and now we've exceeded the StarCraft community a bit. And also we're keeping up with Diablo. Before Diablo 2 was announced at the mini BlizzCon back in February, we were a bit ahead of them in subscribers. So now, we're a little bit ahead of, we're a little bit behind Diablo, but we're definitely growing faster than the StarCraft community. Now, to be fair, StarCraft has a number of subreddits, and so does Diablo. So this number might be a bit artificial since we only have a couple Heroes of the Storm subreddits. But still, it's good to see that there is interest, at least on the subreddit side, that the Heroes of the Storm. So transitioning into culture, so we know about the subreddit, we know it's been growing, we know how it's moderated and some of the features, but culture is a kind of an interesting topic, and I really didn't, understand this until I was a StarCraft mod, since they had such a long history with the game. When you go to Google and you look up culture, it talks about, arts and manifestations of human intellectual achievement, but really it's also about customs, arts, social interactions, and achievements in a particular nation, people, or social group. And so, we do have a culture in the Heroes of the Storm subreddit. Some people are aware of it, some people aren't, and so I like to just highlight a bit of what I think is the culture. So one of the things, there's always one to be noticed by someone, right? And so we like to do our summon patch notes when we believe that the patch notes or the patches should be coming out, and that's been part of our culture since I've been a moderator here. We also have the blue response, where if you make a post and a developer responds to it, it gets a special highlight, so people know that the devs are we're commenting on that post. And we also used to have AMAs with the developers. I think this is the last time we had an AMA with the developers after the May was announced as a hero. So that was all part of our, kind of our culture. I'm hoping to see one of these AMAs again, but I'm not holding my breath. The development group seems like it's been much smaller, and they're content with just making posts on Reddit and such. But we'll see. Maybe they will give us an AMA in the near future. Another example of hot cultures is our memes, right? When the game first came out, it didn't get a really high score, and 6.5 out of 10 was became the meme for the Heroes of the Storm edit. It was reevaluated. I think it went up to like an 8 or a 9. So But still, we own that, and it's our badge. It's our badge. Another thing that happened on the subreddit was back when Rainer was getting reworked. The talent, the one talent that they were using, they didn't really like the name of it, so they said, "Can we get it to be called Give It Some Pepper?" And lo and behold, the developers really liked it, and so they did rework the W talent to be, or the number 2 talent to be Give Them Some Pepper. So we really like that, and that was, I think, inspired by the Heroes of the Storm community. And last but not least, Janitor Leo. This was like a multi-year meme that, eventually we were rewarded at BlizzCon. I think it was 2018. I'm not too sure, but obviously when when I saw those skins, I was like, really, this is maybe just happy inside. Another part of our culture is our recurring posts. You might see these. They balance wine posts, right? They're always fun to read. We also get the smurfing posts. People are not happy that grandmasters and masters players will smurf and create multiple accounts and torture the lower ranks of Stormbleed. We also get the Dear Dev posts. We get, people love to, send messages to the developers through our subreddit. It's, my typical review of this is that the devs will typically comment on they'll acknowledge certain bugs. They will comment on certain artwork, but they rarely ever answer directly any criticism of the game itself. But people still feel the need to write their dear developer letters. We also see guides get posted here. Recently, Cavalier Guest made his Art of the Tank 2.0 as a Reddit post, which was really cool to see. So yeah, there's been a lot of educational material that gets posted on the subreddit, and that's always a good thing, in my opinion. And of course, we get the dead game memes, and people saying how dead's the game and such, and it triggers people. But yeah, these are our part of our culture as well. And dead game is always going to be part of our culture now that the development's slowed. We also have a rich history of the esports. Obviously, it started with the HGC and the precursor to the HGC. This subreddit was a bastion for finding that information, or at least a point where you could find all the latest HGC information and discussions. But of course, all good things come to an end, and we learned about impermanence when J. Allen Brack and Ray Gresco announced the future of Heroes of the Storm in HGC. After that announcement was made on the Blizzard forums and made it to our subreddit, our subreddit did see quite a lot of traffic with people, lamenting and commiserating about the loss of HGC. It got so much attention that our subreddit was actually featured on Reddit, as like one of the subreddits to watch for that weekend after the announcement. But, like a champ, Lorhan kept making the weekly esports discussion posts. And some weeks there was really nothing to post about, but he would still make them, and he's been doing it ever since. Since he's been a mod here, and more power to him because he's got he keeps a lot of that information and manages to get it all posted once a week. And sometimes they're a day or two late, but that's okay. Wednesday's the day we say it, but that's fine. As long as it gets posted. And then obviously, we held the candle out and we got the CCL, and now we have another dedicated esports scene for the community, as well as a masterclass, for the European side. One extreme example of HOTS culture, though, is people that are quitting. You'll see these posts that come up and say, the rank system is making me want to quit. I've seen quite a number of posts where the person announces to the community that they're quitting HOTS, they're giving up. And when I became a mod, I was always wondering to myself, I wonder why they're doing this. Why are they publicly telling everyone that they're going to quit the video game? I mean, and is it because there's a lack of skill or challenge? That was one of the things I was wondering. They skill plateaued and there was just no way to get better. Skill being the ability to do something well or to have expertise. did they have a lack of grit? Angela Duckworth is known for her definition of grit being passion plus perseverance. If you have passion and perseverance and you have something you focus on, you can develop grit. Is it to avoid failure? And that was Seth Godin, kind of taught me what failure is when he says it's not having the guts to quit. That's really where failure. It's lying to yourself and sometimes not being knowing when you should put your ego aside, maybe to give yourself some time to bounce back. And it can be hard to quit because you have what's called the sunk cost fallacy. Just one more Storm League game and I'm going to win, or turn my MMR around, or there's a lot of this in what I think in Heroes of the Storm. Or does the situation just become hopeless? And the person just said, I can't keep playing in this hopeless situation. A friend of mine who runs the podcast Feeding Curiosity, he's been posting these things called blueprints, which are basically summaries of books. And he's been doing this one from David Epstein's book called Range. Epstein, in his book, he's examining successful people in complex fields and, say, the arts or sports and things. And he's come to this conclusion that generalists often find their path late and juggle many interests to determine when they kind of come up with their range. And one of the things he discusses in this book is something called kind learning environments versus wicked learning environments. And this is based on the research of Klein and Kellerman research paper. A kind environment is where the information is available and you can see the consequences. It's immediate. You get immediate feedback, and those who are cognitively engaged get better by just doing the activity. Whereas wicked environments, the information is kind of hidden. Feedback is delayed, infrequent, non-existent, partially accurate or just inaccurate. And the most wicked learning environments will reinforce the wrong types of behavior. So some examples where I think wicked environments could exist is Heroes of the Storm subreddit. We do rely on the wisdom of crowds. It's not a safe space for new content creators or sometimes even established content creators. Mistakes can be amplified and posted on the subreddit. And we do have an issue with cancel culture sometimes, where streamers who make mistakes publicly, when they come back, they get harassed by people that say, don't forget that they made this mistake and such. In addition to that, we have Storm League. And Storm League can be a rather unforgiving environment as well. It just takes one person throwing to ruin a game. In addition to that, there's Smurfs who flex, in lower roles. And we get the 5-stack versus the unorganized team. And a lot of times that loss of rank feels really bad. And then it can result in rage in chat, which can get your account suspended. So the fundamental question I say, is there a solution to this? And I think, we can try to build kinder learning environments, and we can try to refit existing environments to be kinder. So how can we grow HOTS and get everyone to love it? And, if we're going to use the kinder learning environments scenario, we can start with something called Clubhouses. This is becoming kind of a popular app on mobile phones, but with Discord and Gilded, we can create these communities dedicated to learning Heroes of the Storm. The Heroes of the Storm subreddit also maintains a Discord server, and we have community moderators who are constantly monitoring the subreddit, or the Discord, to make sure everyone's getting along, that no one's harassing anyone, and they're much faster to respond to those types of scenarios. In addition, we maintain a Looking for Group wiki, as well as list some of the Discord servers in the community that people can join to learn more about the game and hang out with like-minded folk. In addition, the Windstrider server, Discord server, is an example of a great community that works together to shape the subreddit. Blackstorm is the kind of the lead moderator there, and from whenever I've been there, everyone's welcome to chime in. They have a stream of consciousness general chat, and it seems like it's just a fun community for just getting along and having a good time. But just because these are the communities, you too could build a Discord server and create that community yourself. So, I think Discord and maybe Guilded for those can be this environment for keeping those environments that are kinder and help support learning. More kinder learning environments are podcasts and content creators. So obviously we have Into the Nexus, the podcast that talks about the weekly goings on both the subreddit and in the game. Kyle and Garrett like to talk about the meta, and Kyle likes to talk about his experiences in the NGS and Heroes Lounge when that was running an organized play league. Q for Fun, it's another podcast. Royalite and her band of happy folk love to, it's more about whimsy. It's not a try-hard community, and they try to be really supportive of all members. They like to poke fun at the Into the Nexus group as well. But there's also like Jay Hal's stream, his Twitch stream, and his dedicated Discord server. He likes to post hero videos once a week, usually, on how to improve. Not Paradox, he's got a Discord community and a coaching service through Patreon. Kyberries is one of the first streamers I saw for playing Heroes of the Storm, and we had like-minded interests. She likes to heal. She liked dinosaurs. I loved dinosaurs when I was a kid, so great community. And then obviously Heroes Hearth, they post a lot of content on the subreddit and YouTube, and obviously the CCL. So, it doesn't take much to make a podcast. It only takes is a microphone and like something like Anchor FM, and you could have your own podcast running. I'm talking about Heroes of the Storm. But there's also the concept of more exclusive kind learning environments as well. I mean, what I like to call academies. And these are places where people can, like the Nexus Schoolhouse, where you can hobnob with Cavalier Guest and some of the pro players and talk about the meta in more advanced terms. There was a couple years ago a Discord dedicated to learning Heroes of the Storm, and also I think a League of Legends. It's called Learning Fives. This was an environment where I just signed up for a couple of seasons with them, and I did learn quite a lot about the game that I didn't learn, just by playing the game itself. Things that weren't self-evident. I think this would be great to see it start back up again. Whether it's sponsored from one of the existing Discord communities or a new Discord community. And then I'm a member of Phoenix Rising Esports, that has competitive NGS competitive teams for both, from all the way from bronze all the way up to Grandmaster. And there are several of these esports groups that usually are associated with NGS teams. And then, of course, last but not least is organized play. So we have professional play or semi-professional play to set the bar high, but I think organized play becomes like a refuge from those who are suffering in Storm League, and can't find groups of people to play with who might want to improve along with them. So obviously we have Heroes Lounge. It's been around for quite a number of years. It's started in EU and now it moved its way over to North America. Recently, it's announced that with the success of the NGS, that it will no longer be running a series. So then we have the NGS, which has been going strong for a number of years now. I think they're going to be up to season 12 come this fall. And then obviously we have Can't Counterpick Stupid, which in my mind kind of acts as a kind of a bridge between NGS. Those people want to have these multi-week things and they kind of have their own bit of an academy, which is what we're doing tonight. And they also have their kind of like less structured league, so to speak, with the Nexomania. I'm looking forward to competing in that this summer as well. So I'd like to wrap this up, saying that, we make this community, and the moderators, the subreddits, the Discord servers, these are all places for people to find out and learn to enjoy the Heroes of the Storm as a group. So for HOTS to grow, though, we need to teach people how to appreciate it. We need to address the wicked learning environments and try to build kinder learning environments. We want to help people find their passion, but we don't want to force it on them, right? If you're feeling like the situation's hopeless about the game, there are options. You can build or join a clubhouse. You can support your content creators by posting clips of them, whether they're in your Discord community or within the Heroes of the Storm community. And the HOTS subreddit is for everyone, but it's not a safe space sometimes. We want you to do your part to make it kinder. If you see someone trolling someone, and you don't think you don't think they're being civil, you can report that post. You can show support by just making comments saying what you like about it. And these go a long way to making the community more inviting. That's pretty much it. So if you have any ideas on how to improve the subreddit, you can always just send a message to the moderators, or you can go to another subreddit which we maintain, which is called the Heroes Meta, and you can post your comments there so you can get feedback from multiple sources. With that being said, if there's any questions, I'll stick around for a minute or two. And otherwise, have a good night, and I'll see you in the Nexus.